All right, let's talk about retirement, but maybe not the part you're always thinking about. We're not just going to talk about saving money today. We're going to build an actual roadmap for how you spend it. The whole goal here is to see how you can take that nest egg you've worked so hard for and turn it into a paycheck you can count on for life.
I mean, this is the big one, right? This is the question that keeps people up at night. You've got this big pile of money, but how do you make it last? It can feel pretty overwhelming. But the strategy we're going to walk through gives a really concrete step-by-step answer. We'll even follow a hypothetical 55-year-old, let's call him John, to see exactly how the numbers play out.
And you know, this really is a huge shift in how you think about your money. For 30 or 40 years, it's all about one thing, accumulation, making that number bigger and bigger. But when retirement is on the horizon, the whole game changes. It's not about accumulation anymore, it's about distribution. It's about turning that number into a predictable stream of cash you can actually live on.
Okay, so how do you actually build this income stream? Well, this particular strategy kicks off with what we're calling a 10-year growth runway. Think of this as the building phase from age 55 to 65, where you're methodically putting together the engine that's going to power your retirement paycheck.
So for John, it all starts with a $1 million premium. And bam, right out of the gate, this specific annuity adds a 14% bonus. That's an extra $140,000. This immediately juices up the starting value, for income purposes that is, to over $1.1 million, giving that paycheck engine a really powerful head start.
Now that starting value creates something called an income account value, or IAV. And listen up, because this is absolutely crucial. This is not your cash balance. It's not money you can go spend. Just think of it like a ruler or a measuring stick. Its only job is to grow for 10 years, so that later on, we can use it to measure just how big your paycheck is going to be.
So how does that measuring stick get longer? Well, this illustration shows a guaranteed 10% simple interest credit every single year for 10 years. That makes the growth super steady and predictable. I mean, look at this. After just 5 years, the IAV is already over $1.7 million. And by the time we get to the end of that 10-year runway,
It hits its final number $2,280,000. And this is the whole point. This number, which is more than double what John started with, gets locked in. It becomes the permanent, rock-solid base that we're going to use to calculate his income for the rest of his life. All right, the heavy lifting is done. The engine has been built, the income base is set in stone. Now for the fun part. It's time to turn on the faucet and see what kind of paycheck this whole process actually creates. And there it is. That income base of almost $2.3 million generates a guaranteed annual income of $142,728. For John, that's like getting a 14.27% return on his original million, paid out as a reliable paycheck every single year. And let me say that word again. Guaranteed. This is not a projection. It's not a hope or a maybe. According to the contract, this is the amount that will hit his bank account every year, for as long as he lives. Doesn't matter what the stock market does. To make it feel a little more real, let's just break that down by month. That's a monthly retirement paycheck of $11,894. That's a number you can budget around. That's a number that can cover the bills and fund the travel and lifestyle John wants without having to worry. So, one of the biggest fears for anybody who's just about to retire is a big market crash right after they stop working. There's a name for it. It's called sequence of returns risk. So how does a strategy like this deal with that very real fear?
this really gets to the core of the protection, because the paycheck is calculated from that locked-in, guaranteed income base we just built. It's totally disconnected from the day-to-day roller coaster of the stock market. A big drop in the market simply cannot touch his income payment. And this slide just proves the point perfectly. It shows you the performance during the absolute worst 10-year market period in the data. You see those years where the credited interest rate was zero? That means the real money account didn't grow at all. But despite that, did the income stop? Nope. That $142,000 paycheck would have continued, completely uninterrupted. A lifetime guarantee sounds amazing. But you know what they say? There's no such thing as a free lunch. So what's the catch here? To really get the full picture, we've got to peel back the layers and look at the costs and the trade-offs involved. The best way to understand this is what I call the two buckets analogy. Remember that income account value, the measuring stick? That's bucket number one. It's just a ruler for your paycheck. You can't cash it out, you can't leave it to your kids. The second bucket is the contract value. Now this is your real money account. This is the one that's actually invested, earns interest, has fees taken out of it, and it's what could be left to your heirs. Getting this distinction is the key to everything. So what's the cost for this guarantee? The fine print shows an annual rider fee of 1.20%. This is essentially the insurance premium you're paying for that lifetime promise. And it's really important to know, this fee comes out of your real money bucket, the contract value, every single year.
And that brings us to probably the biggest trade-off of all: prioritizing guaranteed income for yourself versus leaving a big legacy for your family. Let's look at what happens if John passes away at 75. In a worst-case bad market scenario, the fees and the income payments could have drained the account down to zero. But if the markets do pretty well, like in the illustration, there could still be a death benefit of almost $200,000 left. You're trading the potential for a larger legacy for the certainty of income for life.
There's one last piece to this puzzle. It's a silent challenge that every single long-term retirement plan has to deal with, and that is the slow, creeping power of inflation.
That income stream we've been talking about, that big $142,000 check, is what's called a level paycheck. That means it's designed to stay the same for life. It doesn't have an automatic cost of living adjustment, or COLA, built in, so the paycheck itself doesn't automatically go up to keep pace with rising prices.
So what does that actually mean over time? This chart paints a pretty clear picture. If we just assume a pretty normal inflation rate of 3%, in 20 years, that paycheck of over $142,000 will only be able to buy what about $79,000 buys today. That's why a strategy like this is usually just one piece of a bigger plan, not the entire plan itself.
So after breaking it all down, we come back to the big picture. This strategy creates an incredibly powerful and predictable income floor. It solves for the fear of market crashes and the fear of outliving your money. But it also comes with costs, with trade-offs for legacy, and with the challenge of inflation. So the final question really isn't whether it works, but whether this kind of guarantee is the right anchor for your complete retirement plan.